So the Predator Edge is here, and some people will have already thought, take my money.
Shut up and take my money.
And bought a pair, but if you haven't, and you think that paying 220 euros or 280 euros for the laceless Edge Plus is a little bit much, well, there's still hope for you if you want to join the Edge hype train, because today I'll walk you through all the different price points of the Predator Edge, all the way from the expensive top mega hype bling Edge Plus over the other top model, the .1s, the slightly cheaper .2s, and the budget option .3s, and explain all the differences between the boots and the price points. Now, of course, if you already know what you want to buy, there's a link up there that you can go nuts with. But if you don't, let me try and help you decide. All it costs is that you make sure you subscribe to the channel. You have? Great! Let's go. Now, as always, the main boot of the range is the Laceless Plus, which is where adidas have spent most of their time and also used their best and most innovative technologies and finest design elements and all that jazz. In other words, in adidas' book at least, this is the best that they have to offer on the Edge range. Because of that, it's also the most expensive of the boots, 280 euros, so it's quite a lot of money. Now, with that said, this bad boy here features a laceless two-piece prime knit upper. It has a split tooling called the facet frame and this little tungsten power facet piece underneath the forefoot to give you more weight and power behind your shot. On paper, at least. Now, also, of course, it features the big headliner technology called the Zone Skin. Basically, Zone Skin consists of all these little rubber fins that are supposed to help you generate more power and especially swerve on the ball when you strike it. And the cool thing is that, well, it actually does help you do exactly that. When it comes to the fit and the comfort, I think you'll probably need a bit of break in time in the Edge Plus because of how the fins mean that the upper is a little bit stiff. And also, it's pretty high toe box with a high volume that I think you need to be aware of. But with that said, going true to size was still the right for me. And if you want to know more about the Edge Plus, well, you can watch my full review in the card right up there. Then we have little brother Edge.1, which comes in both a high and a low cut variation. And despite costing 60 euros less, so 220 euros, this is still in adidas' book a top elite model. Now, of course, because it is cheaper, they had to save some money somewhere, right? The presentation and the execution, and especially the materials, compared to the Edge Plus, has changed somewhere. So for instance, you still get this prime knit collar and heel piece, but the midfoot and the toe box material is now a softer textile. But to be honest, compared to prime knit, I don't really think you're gonna feel a difference. Now, the tooling is exactly the same, it just looks less blingy, and then of course you have Zone Skin. So here, yes, there might be fewer fins compared to the Edge Plus, but to be honest, again, I don't really think anyone's gonna notice that big of a difference because it is still hella grippy on the ball. In other words, the .1 does share a lot of characteristics with the Plus when it comes to touch and shooting, but unfortunately, you could say it also features this really high volume toe box and that very structured upper that just needs a bit of break in time to soften up properly. On the other side though, this has laces, meaning that you get a more adaptable and adjustive fit and obviously better lockdown. However, you also get these here last lace holes that gave me at least some pressure points on both feet that were a little bit annoying. So for that reason alone, I actually prefer the fit in the Plus. And then there's the Edge.2, which actually took me a bit by surprise because you'd think that at 140 euros, adidas had to cut a lot of corners and save a lot of money, and of course, they had to save some money, but still, it's quite nice. And yeah, okay, the upper material is definitely not as nice as the prime knit. It's thinner and flimsier and a bit stretchier, and then it has this edge, unintended by the way, that just doesn't look or feel as premium. And a little cheap, to be honest. But However, the big redemption is that the Point 2 still has zone skin. And okay, we might call this zone skin 0.8 because the fins aren't as tall and there aren't as many as on the Point 1s, but they're there and they're grippy, and that's nice. And here's the thing. I actually think that I prefer this version of zone skin because sure, the fins are not as tall and they're not as grippy, but the fact that there are fewer fins also means that there's more space in between the fins, allowing the upper to soften up a little bit better, which actually does good things for the comfort in my book. And that means that you still get the zone skin experience to some extent at least, but you also have to sacrifice just a little less when it comes to the stiffness and the breaking time of the upper. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, 140 euros. Not too shabby. Now, the rest of the boot here is made with a full-length TPU outsole that still looks rather blingy, that has MG studs, multi-ground, meaning that you can use it on both FG and AG pitches without losing your warranty. It also has this little, let's not call it power facets, it's not a weighted piece, it's just painted plastic and that's the way it goes. But to be honest, yeah, it is a little cheaper and you can tell by the materials, but for me, there's a lot of bang for the buck, value for money in this one. And finally, we have the Edge.3, which comes both without laces for 99 euros and with laces for 89 euros. And now it also comes as a low-cut variation, which I think is pretty nice. Now, obviously, 89 euros, it is the budget option, and you can definitely tell that on the materials, which is what it is. With that said, it actually still has what feels like the same upper and same tooling as the Point 2, which explains why I thought this felt a little bit cheap. But then, same upper, same tooling, so why is this cheaper again? So yes, the Point 3s, they are cheaper and they don't look as visually stunning as the other boots because it doesn't really have the fins. With that said, this gives you the Predator Edge Lite experience, and for the money, I actually think it's pretty solid. It's better than last year's at least, so progress. So there you have it, my friends, a little bit for everyone if you want a Predator Edge. Now personally, still struggling a little bit with the Plus and the Point 1s, but I think that the Point 3s and especially the Point 2s are actually pretty solid boots for the money. But which is the right one for you? And do you have any questions? Well, as always, leave me your thoughts in the comment section right down below. And remember that if you already know which of the boots to buy, you can do so from unisportstore.com in the link right over there. Of course, also make sure you've subscribed to the channel with the notifications on, and maybe go and learn how to improve as a footballer in the playlist right down there. With those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio.